Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Monday, the 30th day of May, 2022. One more day and we're into June. And then I can plant my beans. I think I'm going to plant them a little earlier than the 6th. I'll probably do it on Wednesday, but I don't know. We'll see. I might even be able to do it tomorrow. I wanted to get past, we had a couple of days where it was supposed to be in the 30s and at night, and I don't like to even chance it. I mean, not that the beans are going to come up right away, but I do soak them so they come up a little sooner than they would otherwise. But today the corn gets put in, so do the potatoes, and we're just transitioning things, having we didn't have anything out yesterday because we had 35-mile-an-hour gusts, so didn't want the tomatoes to blow over or anything. They're still in pots, and we can't really put them in though until we're probably this week sometime, but probably toward the end of the week. We just want to be sure that they're not stunted by any cold weather at night. And but I think we're going to be in the 40s and 50s at night this week, so maybe we're on a trend. But it's the high desert, so you never know. It could snow. It could, in July. So I don't know. They could do everything possible all in one day. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good weekend. If you don't have to work today, that's cool. Many people do. I have to go to the store because I'm out of almond milk for the smoothies, so we got to go to the store. So anyway, so I'm grateful to those people that are working at the grocery store today, so I can get my almond milk. Anyway, let's go over the esoteric influences for today. Everything's been posted. The esoteric influences, the newsletter went out. Let's see, ascendant rays, nodes, and other aspects influencing this week are out. The weekly numerology is out. The daily correspondences are out. The version of that for Patreon, which has recommendations for what you can do on any given day based on favorability, that's out. And the 2 Medium articles are out. So, yay. And I've done most of this next week's. I did them yesterday in between mowing the yards while my husband was dealing with the patch of ground where we're going to plant the corn and the potatoes. So he thought he was done, but oh no rest, as he says, for the wicked. So anyway, let's look at today's esoteric influences for Monday the 30th. We have a numerology of 3. 30 reduces to 3. So mind, body, spirit, balance, triplicities, creativity, optimism, self-expression, and imagination are the key words for the number 3. Ansus is the Elder Futhark rune for today. That's Odin's rune. It means clarity, divine message, eloquence, reflection of higher self. The Geomancy rune, the below side of things, the earthly side of things, is poor. Young boy, impulsivity, energy, unstable, driven, risk-oriented, and accident-prone. I mean, if you've raised boys like I did, you know what that's like. The sun's in Gemini. The moon's in Gemini. It was new at 4:31 a.m. this morning. The planetary governance is the moon for Monday, if you're working magic. On this new moon in Gemini, reflect on opportunities that may arise and set your intentions for the coming month. New beginnings are possible, but only if you're able to drop resistance to new perspectives and control any impulsivity you might have. Partnerships may be involved, so be sure to listen to the input of those who may be impacted by your new direction. Speak with eloquence and respect individual boundaries. A true leader sincerely recognizes the leadership abilities of others, and with self-discipline, he or she can avoid being easily led by personal agenda. Listen to a variety of opinions and benefit from past experience. This may be the time to let old paradigms shift into new possibilities. So that is the esoteric influences for today. Let me move that off the screen. And let's see, nope, that's too hot. I can't have any tea yet. So anyhow, let's go ahead and take the rune for the reading. Sometimes the runes, the Geomancy rune and the Elder Futhark rune I do here are also one or both are from the day. And I'm not sure how that happens other than it does. It's not intentional. Well, we have Uruz. Looks like the Aurochs. The key word is the Aurochs. It's strength, it's manifestation. can see the downward movement into form there. It's healing, it's endurance, it's the primal forming essence. Let's see, energy shaping matter. So again, if there are new opportunities you're thinking about, how are you going to shape them? You know, if we want to align this a little bit with the, I'm going to leave it somewhat up on the screen here. If new opportunities are coming your way or you're setting a new path, there just seems to be a lot of that these days, rethinking things. And a lot of it last week, I think it was last week or week before. Yeah, it was last week, I think. It was pretty much career focused. And so lots of ideas, and it seemed like, or maybe it was the week before, where it had to do with career, lots of stuff in the 10th house, but basically there was an element of spirituality to it, where instead of just going to work to have a paycheck, it seems like there's a trend toward wanting to have greater meaning in your job. And maybe even switching jobs to achieve that. Maybe you can do it with, at the same place, but maybe not. Maybe you have to change jobs and look for and it seems like the trend is to look for something that fulfills you spiritually, as opposed to just giving you a paycheck. Of course, sometimes things that fulfill you spiritually don't give you a very big paycheck, but sometimes you just got to go with your heart. But again, how is that going to impact your family? Let's see, I think we have Acquisitio here. Yeah. Acquisitio is the Geomancy rune. So gain. So how are you going to shape your gain? How your success? How are you going to do that in a way that respects boundaries of others? If you have a family, you can't just go and I said this the other day, just quit your job and write the great novel, much as we all want to do that. You can't necessarily do that, right? But here today with Urus, you have the chance to shape your experiences and have a little, but it's going to require some primal forming force, and in order, and strength, inner strength, or higher strength, really, to shape your experiences in a way that really are beneficial to your spiritual growth and will bring also, and the gain could be that, I think that we're seeing, someone said that it's a battle between dark and light right now, and that's true. I would maybe bring it a little more specific and say the battle between service to self and service to others. Again, you're talking about service to others being the above side of things and service to self being the below side of things. Are you so focused on your own agenda that you can't really, you do things at the expense of other people? That's a lot of what's going on right now. It's all at the expense of other people. The choices that people are making, the push toward control that people want to make, it's to benefit a chosen few at the expense of other people. But we see it, and that's on the bigger stage. I mean, we see it play out in our daily lives, people just deciding that what they want is more important than anything else and anybody else. And it's fine to use other people. And I just think that that's really the real polarity that's being experienced right now. And hopefully we start to understand the devastating effects of that it's all connected. And if we can simply manifest from a higher level of perspective, from a soul perspective, then we can bring love and compassion and understanding and for the greater good, to see one another not as the other, but as the other side of self. And when you do that, then maybe you start to understand that there's a broader message here that we need to be learning. So let's see what the cards have to say. Oh, well, my favorite Knight of Pentacles, is here. But we have two cards from the Major Arcana. I'm sitting here talking about soul archetype, and with Urus, we've got the Emperor and Judgment. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. We might or might not take a fourth card. Let's take a look at the Emperor first. Well, we have, let's see, 4 and be 4 and 2 is 6. So 6 is about empathy and comfort and aid, assistance, another level of harmony. We talked about that one day where the even numbers seem to reflect a particular level of harmony from maybe polarity with the 2 and reciprocity between you and someone else. So something that's a little more narrow to ever expanding levels of harmony. And but sometimes it's not. Again, it depends on your focus as to what you're doing. But anyway, we'll get into that maybe not though. But here we have the Emperor, which is the card 4 of the Major Arcana. You see the Emperor sitting on his throne. You see the ram's heads all around. There's 4 of them there. You see depictions of, I mean, this could be mountains. It could be something else. But in this particular rendition of the deck, of the Rider-Waite deck, it seems to be mountains. I should look in the regular one and see if it's the same. I don't remember. But it's almost like there's a balance between dark and light there in terms of inner strength. And by dark and light, it would mean the receptive versus projective, maybe. But I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it would be that. But it may be the inner struggle, polarity-wise, that the Emperor makes. You can see he's in battle attire, covered by a red robe. There's a long beard as he sits on a stone throne there. The Emperor is somebody who is obviously a man in authority. He comes after the Empress, though, in the Major Arcana. So in a sense, he's her consort. I think that the emphasis is put upon the Empress to give birth to creation, but even though they're together in there, she doesn't need him for that. But basically, he brings in the father aspect. He brings in authority, which can be benevolent. It can be he can be a wise mentor, like with the kings. He can be that. But there's a there's a certain amount of strength. Maybe this could represent air and fire, maybe, with this being air and this being fire. So balancing will with intellect, maybe. So he could be analytical in that regard. He could also be he could also bring inspiration in that regard as well. So that would be the fire side. Analytical would be the air side. He basically looks at us. Maybe his eyes are a little bit averted. Hard to tell there, though, unless you get really, really close. But he seems to have kind of a stern look on his face. And I think that he's very, very caught up in his authority. Then we move on to the 20th card, Judgment. Now, non-traditional decks will call this rebirth, or they'll call it eon, which again is moving into a different cycle. And realistically, as Gabriel blows his horn, we see everybody rise up out of their coffins, raising their arms in supplication to Spirit. And it's not the idea of judging, really, as much as it is understanding where you've come from and where you need to go now in terms of reincarnation. Or if it's not reincarnation, moving on to something else. Well, but I guess it would be reincarnation, just somewhere else. But whether or not you would come back here. But judgment is really, it's about being able to look at things realistically, look at your experiences in a way that helps you to learn from them versus, feeling judged by them. That's not really the point of it. But I guess it depends on maybe your religious persuasion. Maybe you see it that way. I don't. I just view it as taking a look back on your experiences and understanding them in context. But it's coming to a level of rebirth, and coming back into something new, with all of that, that you've learned to carry you forward, basically. Rebalancing. When you see the cross on the little pennant or flag or what have you there, and I've talked about this before. Let me just draw it out, or wait. Oh, I have one here. So this is how I see the cross. Up at the top, the vertical line is spirit and form. We kind of sit here. Ideally, we need to be here. And with the card of judgment, that's where you kind of end up. Across the horizontal line here is the feminine and masculine polarity, or projective and receptive presence. So this would be, you could think of it as the line of the abyss, or you could think of it as the line of incarnation, really. The abyss would be more up here. Let's see, I don't have that in here. I have it out in the living room. The tree of life from the Kabbalah. You have the first three, and then there's a line. That's the line of the abyss, where you then come through into form. But here you balance the soul's expression and the ego's reception, if you will. What's going to guide you? Is it going to be ego? Well, largely here in form, that's what does guide us. We're pretty reactive. We're people that react before thinking it out. React before letting higher self say, wait. But ideally, if you were to come in aware, you would be in the center, and you would have all of that in balance. You see, and part of ascension, I think, is learning that we are. Obviously there's a physical ascension involved as well, but while we're in form, it's learning that we are souls inhabiting these bodies, and we could be acting from that level. We could be perceiving things from that level instead of the lower vibrational ego. Again, service to others and service to self. There's a difference there, a different mindset. Can you think about the greater good and forego something you want because of it? It's like, well, I might want this, but that's not going to serve anything. It's just going to cause all kinds of trouble. So maybe I'll rethink what I want, and do something that, we look at what's happened in Uvalde, Texas, and the idea that there's a meme out that little thing that says, and I'll butcher it, but essentially that, you've got one kid hits another with the stick. Well, it's not the stick's fault, it's the kid's fault, right? But you wouldn't leave the stick with the kid. In a sense, we're all kids. And so we might want what we want, but maybe what we want isn't particularly safe for anyone else. And so what gives? Do you get what you want at the expense of everyone else, or do you understand the broader message? And I think that's really what the card of judgment is about. You see the 20 written as 2 X's there in Roman numeral. In a sense, you could look at that as 1 and 1, and so you could think of that in terms of balance. And so there's a certain balance you want to strike with the judgment card that maybe the emperor doesn't understand. Maybe in this case, emperor is a little more service to self versus service to others, and he wants what he wants. And then we come to the Knight of Pentacles, who is my favorite knight. I love the horse. It's such a strong looking horse. He's standing up higher up. He's bringing some security, an offering of security with that coin. Pentacles is the earth element. Knights are dynamic, whereas you've got the page. In other decks, it's the princess, and then in those decks, this would be the prince. But you're looking at a youthful figure, someone with undeveloped potential with the page. But with the knight, he's already gone through all that, and now he's out on his quest, on his grail quest, in other words. You'll see that with the Knight of Cups. He's on a grail quest. But in this case, it's almost like he's providing the security for the area, for the village, or there just could be where a bunch of farms are all spread out or whatever. But he's providing security for that. And so the focus here is on the people. The visor's up, so there's no battle going on. He's still in battle attire, but he's literally giving an offering. Many of the knights do. The Knight of Cups does as well. But here he's looking toward the future, and I think that after figuring out the balance we should be striking, he understands what he needs to do. So he's offering, in a sense, there's a level of compassion with it, and honor and respect for tradition and for family and for home and hearth. And he's there to provide security for all of that. So in a sense, if it could be the feminine side, Earth is a feminine type of energy, and Earth governs pentacles. Well, we're looking at maybe an example of masculine versus feminine, and finding that balance based on higher awareness with judgment and past experience and life experience. Could even be past life experience coming in. So what do we manifest? Do we manifest something with urus in a way that simply helps the self, that it takes a service to self approach, or which you could say that the Emperor is doing? But then you have the Knight of Pentacles, which is taking a different tact, isn't he? It's more of a I'm going to do for others. And coming to that inner balance, and once we do that, once we understand the effect of that and how much better off we are when we take a service to others approach, then we're not using others for our own purposes. We're not doing whatever we want to at the expense of the safety of others and security of others. That's the real acquisitio. That's the real level of gain, you see. Instead of, I mean, sure, you might get what you want, but what energy does that put out? What message does that send to society or to the community or to the family, to your coworkers? I mean, it could be really any situation that this could apply to. But I think it's something to think about. Memorial Day is about a day of sacrifice that soldiers made for all of us, right? And in a sense, they're the Knight of Pentacles. And how do we honor that sacrifice? There's been so much going on that involves the self and someone who is trying to define a narrative in a way that's just a flat out lie, and manipulate people, get them to send him money, and I mean, it's all a scam basically what he's doing, but they can't seem to let go of him. And although a lot have, some people just can't, and it's too bad, because they're being used, they're being manipulated by somebody with their own agenda that has nothing to do with what is best for the country. And so we can awaken to that with judgment. We can awaken to the imbalance that he is creating, the scam that he's pulling continually, and then be able to then understand, well, what is going to benefit us in the long run with the Knight of Pentacles? Is it someone who's is truly there to assist us, to elevate us ever higher, to help us gain the security that we essentially pay for? That town pays for the police department to act, not to stand there while it happens. Again, what is the self-motivation there? What is it they think they're there for? They're there to protect and serve, like this guy. Not to stand back and do nothing. Finally, I guess a couple of Border Patrol guys just said, screw this. We're going in. And they took care of it. I don't know. But by then, see, it's too late. The damage has been done. But at least they acted. They did their jobs. Unlike the others that were just standing there, doing nothing except trying to handcuff parents and have the tasers at the ready, right? These situations play out, and we can, be caught up in the horror of them, or when we can step back and try to understand the greater message of what's really going on here. Cause and effect. It's not about open doors. Okay, it just isn't. It's about who we are as people and how we see ourselves in the broader scheme of things. Are we part of this existence, or are we off by ourselves doing what we do, and in this case, with this person, doing the worst? The mindset is what it needs to change, and the mindset, it needs to become more aware. And the only awareness that's going to help is higher awareness, you see. So anyway, I don't think we need another card. I think this really is about awakening to the higher purpose that we have to manifest our world in a way, our experiences in a way that are not just about, that don't just serve us, but that serve others as well. So anyway, happy Monday. Thanks for watching. And, if you're home today, I hope you're planting a garden or doing something, with your family, or something, spending time with people you care about, and be able to share that time in a way that's positive and loving and compassionate and supportive. And remember the sacrifice that people have made for us so that we can live the life we live. So have a good day, and we'll see you again on Monday. I hope you come back. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll click subscribe and come back and join our little tarot and rune family here. And be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.